So a realistic night in the life, because it's literally almost 7:30 of a leasing agent. I was sitting down. Today was a super quiet day. I actually had no showings. I just had a key exchange with a landlord, and it literally took like 10 minutes. So I was like, oh, it's going to be a pretty easy night. But then I had an offer accepted, which is great for both clients. That's the thing about leasing as well, as you usually represent landlord and tenant, whereas in real estate, you're usually representing one side unless you're double ending a deal. So that's a lot of breath. Yeah, 2 pregnancies. I closed an offer, got accepted, so that was great. And then I was sitting down for only 5 phone calls, and I'm actually at 6 phone calls with 3 more to go because they just keep coming in. I had to arrange a key pickup from a new unit that we got and introduce myself to the landlord. And then tomorrow is actually going to be a very busy day, not with showings, but just like with behind the scenes work. So I'll probably bring you guys along for that. But yeah, I am almost 3 weeks into this job, just shy of 3 weeks into this job, and I've closed 4 deals so far. So I'm hoping for at least 2 more before November 1st, which is literally in a few days, but you never know. You never know. Maybe some will be for November 15th. But yeah, you think you're gonna have a quiet night or a quiet day, and suddenly you're just bombarded with stuff. So I'm learning to have boundaries with phone calls and things like that. The first few weeks I would pick up the minute a phone rang because I know people are trying to get a hold of me. I'm introducing myself to, I had 23 units given to me when I took over for the region I'm in. So a lot of phone calls. So one of the things that you have to learn, especially if you have a family or even a partner, is to value the other person's time. So prioritize, your time. These are my work hours. Work is a priority during these hours. This is my family life, and work is a secondary priority during those times. So yeah, so let me finish these phone calls, and then I've got to upload some more social media ads for my new units, take down my leased units, and then also pull some statistic numbers for some of my landlords to just send them an update on how their units are doing if they have not been leased for this month. Okay, it is like impossible to try and film a true day in the life with like little tours of the properties I'm showing clients because it is just so busy. Yesterday I had 12 appointments from 10:30 up until 4:45, 5 o'clock. Busy day. So my first appointment was a handover of keys to clients that were moving into one of the properties we leased out. And then I had showings. One of my showings was like 45 minutes away from where all my other showings were, so that was a bit of a drive. But it was a second time showing for someone whose application is partially completed. They just wanted to check a few more things. I had to do a key drop off to a landlord that got a lockbox on property. And then the rest of the appointments were all property showings. So the goal with my team, we have booking staff. So I send the appointments that come in my way and the appointments that they get through the office, and we try and group the appointments together. That's what I've requested for my own schedule. If you're a leasing agent, I would request the same. So sometimes I get to stay at a property for half an hour, but I'll have 3 showings for that property in that half hour. So there really isn't a break. And then you're driving to the next property. In between appointments, I'm also taking landlord calls, client calls. This week has been a key handover week. So it's been very busy with, what's the internet password, or I don't know what key is to what garage because the label fell off, little things like that. So you're constantly keeping up on calls, keeping landlords informed. I had to arrange a metal collection for one landlord. We were trying to arrange movers for that same landlord. We've had to arrange cleaners for 2 properties. So it is very busy as you're on the go. A lot of phone calls, a lot of pulling over for text messages. Don't text and drive. But very, very busy. You're also sending follow-up emails with application links as well to individuals who are interested in applying for the property they just viewed. I try and send those emails either as I'm standing in front of them. Now, actually, no, that's not true. I used to do that. Oh, the heartburn from pregnancy is real. I now have to do it in the car because our company now requests a little paragraph explanation of like who the couple is or who the individual is, any information that we've received from them before we can go and click the link. But I try and do that before I drive away so that there's less of a to-do list. I've also been cutting keys for clients as part of their welcome home gift. It also just makes it easier for me to keep track of the original keys to ensure that we as property management have that main key. So if there's ever an incident or we need to enter the premises, we don't have to wait on a tenant to let us in. But yeah, super busy. Today is a Sunday, so a little bit quieter. I had 4 showings booked. One had to reschedule. One I had to cancel because the property is still being cleaned after tenants left, so it was not available for showings. And then another 2 showings at the same house. So I got to just come here, stay here for half hour, and then heading home now. Hopefully no more showings because I'm so tired. I'm so tired from yesterday. But just for an average of closing, so I'm not in like a metropolitan city. I live almost 2 hours north of Toronto. Well, in rush hour. Without rush hour, I'm about an hour 15 north of Toronto. In Toronto, you can close so many more deals. So if you live in like a downtown, the heart of a city, you will do very well as a leasing agent because the turnover rate is much higher. There's many more job options as well. Where I live is a little bit removed. It's still a big city. It's called Barrie. But I closed 4 deals in 3 weeks. So that's my first 3 weeks of being a leasing agent. 4 deals closed. My goal for next month, the next 4 weeks, is to close 8. So we'll see if we hit that, because as you're closing homes, our company is pretty good at, replenishing our property list. But if you're with a smaller company or a quieter area, sometimes that list replenishing takes a little time. So of the 4 properties we've closed, I have gained for sure 2 new ones. I think there's a couple pending the landlord signing on. So we'll see, we'll see what the ratio is looking like. But yeah, it's busy. It's fun. I think it also depends on the company that you work for. Like I can literally call so many different departments in my company and get answers to my questions within 20 minutes, if not within 5 minutes of my call if someone actually picks up. But sometimes, your boss is on showings. The booking office is on the phone, so you do have to wait a little bit for callbacks, but they're fantastic with their response team. The way the actual team works is phenomenal. So I would really encourage you, if you are going to become a leasing agent outside of real estate. So I also hold a real estate license, but I didn't want to do leases through my real estate license because that kind of paperwork is quite new to me. I've done a lot of purchase and sale paperwork just from personal experience prior to having my license, but the leasing paperwork, I feel like there's a lot more liability. And even if it's not legal liability, I feel like there's a lot more you owe the landlord as you're doing all the back checks on people. And I would hate to place the wrong person in a home. So I usually refer those out, or I bring them as, if someone gives me a lease referral, I'll bring them in through the company. If we can't help them, then I'll refer them to another agent that does do leases outside of property management, like through real estate. But yeah, if you're looking for a leasing agent with property management, definitely ask about how their communication is, how many people are on the team. If you have a really small team with people working a bunch, you're going to be pretty solo a lot of the time. So we have a smaller team, a medium-sized team. People work a lot, but people communicate so well. Like I have to say, this is probably, of all the jobs I've had, minus one sales job, the communication in this team is absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, keep that in mind when you're looking for stuff. So I'm going to head back home to my kiddos. I try and be home half the day at least, do showings most of the afternoons, and then be home by dinner time or bedtime. And then any work I do is once they have gone to bed. So I try, personally as a mom, I try and keep kids as my priority still. I am very blessed that my husband is able to take care of them at home when I'm not there. So I am very grateful that they're still connecting with a parent. They're not being watched by multiple babysitters, which sometimes is the case for families. Marketing update, not for me. messages coming in from the company. But yeah, that is just a little bit of what a day in the life would look like, minus all the clips, because honestly, it's impossible to film. I would probably just be like running through a property. So to close off this video, I'm going to share with you one of the frustrating sides of being a leasing agent. So I had someone who had an appointment to see a unit yesterday, showed up late. I kind of knew off the bat, I sensed they weren't going to be timely. Actually, no, they didn't even show up late. They didn't show up yesterday. And I told them, you know what, I'm not waiting around. You'll have to rebook it. It was actually my day off. I had booked this appointment as a favor. And then today, one of the two parties was 10 minutes late and the other one was 25 minutes late to their appointment. Off the bat, that tells me they are not going to be a good fit with my landlord. So I wish I could tell this person, don't bother coming because your personality has already showed me that you're not going to be a good fit, but you can't. So I showed the unit twice because both parties, they were siblings, came at different times. And then they asked for an application to be considered for the unit. A lot of people ask for applications. Don't get excited. Many people don't use the application. They're just saying they want it. But if they are to apply, I can 100% guarantee they are not going to be approved. The landlords are looking for a quiet professional couple. This individual, one of the two, showed up blaring music in a car with a friend, which already tells me if you're going to have friends over at the apartment, it's not going to be a quiet hangout. And I know the landlord's not going to go for that. And I wish I could just be honest and have it not be taken as discrimination. There's landlords who don't care. You can have a party house as long as you're paying rent, they don't care. And then there are landlords who say, you know what, we live here as well, or we work late hours, early hours. This is the kind of person that we are hoping to find. And I wish I could just tell people up front or ask on the phone up front, what's your personality like? What's your social or socializing style like? Because it would save them the time and it would save me the time of doing these essentially unnecessary showings because they're not going to be good fits for each other. The other thing that I was talking with my boss about last night and this morning, she's been so patient with me. And I appreciate it because it's a learning curve, but it's in a way it is learning that you can't help everyone. Even though my personality is like caregiver style, you want to help everyone. But we just had a call from someone yesterday, an applicant who's having just a really hard time understanding the process, keeps sending documents, but they're not properly sent. Like there's information taken out, information missing, which to them is like an automatic red flag. They've been in this business for a while. For me, I'm like, hey, maybe it's a language barrier. Let's try and help them. They're going through a hard time. So my office person, my finance person wasn't able to help because they were off work hours, but my boss was still on work hours. So I asked her to overstep for me and just figure it out so we could give this lady and her family a straight answer. And it turns out my boss worked till late. She was up very late figuring this out for me. And it turns out that this applicant was, as much as they were begging for help and begging, to just like be given a chance and like saying how much money they were making and blah, blah, blah. They lied about so much. They lied about their debt. They lied about their credit score. They were dishonest with so much that my boss is like, when you're honest and upfront, we will do what we can to help you. But if you willingly lie and then manipulate us to try and get your way, and the entire time that we're asking questions, you're choosing to be dishonest, that's not someone we're going to work with. And that's also not someone that I want to place in the home of one of our landlords. So that was very disappointing. So now it's funny because I have 3 applications like that. And at first I was trying to make all these 3 applications, work, help them out where I can, explain things where I can, so that I get paid, the landlords get paid, and the tenants get housed. It's like a triple win. And after having a conversation with her and just realizing just how crappy people can be, I've honestly messaged my finance contact at the office and been like, you know what? This application already declined by our boss. Second application, these are the guidelines I gave her. If she does not meet it, I'm not calling back to explain it a 5th time. They can be declined. And then the third applicant, I don't know, they're struggling to English as a second language.
but it's been almost 4 weeks. So at this point, you should have now understood, with everyone explaining things, what you need, what the process is. So the fact that paperwork is still showing up incorrect also tells me that they're probably just not qualified and are trying to hide it and delay the process. So that's been a little frustrating. Started off this little vlog as like, woohoo, and I'm ending it like an ugh, whatever. But it's just a reality. It's like the downside of being a leasing agent, right? That sometimes you think deals are going to work out so well, and they just don't. So, and other times you're surprised. You think someone's not going to qualify or someone's not interested, and they close a deal in 2 weeks. So yeah, that's it for now. See you next time.